today we have, of course, Vincent, that he's helping us out today and entertaining us all. And because this became quite a big thing, CIBJO started to support my webinars, and Steve Benson, that he's the head of communication of CIBJO, and Caetano Cavalieri, they decided that this would be a great opportunity to support the industry, which is yourself. So they are supporting this. And at the same time, they also decided to start a webinar series, and it's edited by Steve Benson and Edward Johnson. Edward Johnson, he used to be director of GIA London and worked for RJC. So he's a quite known person in the international gemological world. And next week, on the 22nd of April, we will have, of course, President Caetano Cavalieri, Tiffany Stevens from JVC in New York, the very famous and very charming Eric Jens as well, and Amit Damani from the Damani Group in Dubai. So this will be a discussion on how to survive on the COVID situation. So I think it's quite important. If you wish to join, go to the CIBJO social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, and you can register right there. So this is like not to support us publicity, but I had to do this. And before I even introduce Vincent, I'm going to share on your screen a poll, like a voting thing, because I will be repeating some of the past webinars, especially the oldest ones. And I would kindly ask you to, while I am introducing Vincent to you, you could take some time and just vote and try to choose which is your preferred topic. And of course, I will make a decision in the end. Even if it is not the most voted one, I will make the decision. And let me tell you that I already have numbers from Instagram, from LinkedIn, and from Facebook. So this is my last resource to gauge what is the interest for the next webinar, if a past topic is to be repeated. So having said that, I'm going to introduce Vincent to you. And let me put here Vincent. Okay. Vincent Pardieu, I met him in 2006 in Dubai a long time ago. He's really tall and I'm really short, so it was like a nice contrast. And he's a field gemologist. What is a field gemologist? First of all, he's a passion gemologist. He made his studies in the Orient, in Myanmar and in Thailand. And he became passionate about going to the field. And why? Because going to the field enabled him to go to the source and collect specimens that could have a scientific and gemological interest. And he, for more than 20 years, he has been doing expeditions all around the globe, and he has done nearly 150 expeditions. So he's really very experienced on how to prepare for going to the field, what to expect. And he has this really interesting quote, which is expect the unexpected. Because if you follow him on his social media, whenever he's traveling to some remote area in the world, he's stuck on the airport. There is some disease, there is a military thing. So there is always something that doesn't go according to plan. And so you must be flexible enough and smart enough to improvise, to have great social skills, and of course to be knowledgeable and to adapt to the local cultures. Because if you travel to Africa, it's different than Southern America, different than Asia, and different from Greenland, for instance, where he was. I think it was his last field trip was actually in Greenland. So he's really experienced, and he's a world character. Everybody knows him. He has a great YouTube channel with up to more than 10,000 followers. And so he has a lot of video with good, well-researched information. He worked for the IIJS Thailand. He worked for Gublin, worked for GIA, worked also for Danat in Bahrain. So he has and now I think he's collaborating with the ICA Gem Lab in Bangkok. So he's really well connected and he's really respected in the gemological world. So before I call him into the stage or into the camera, I'm going to stop the poll because most of you, 85% of you, have already voted. And today our room has 587 people up until now. And I'm going to share this with you. So the most voted one was emeralds, then precious corals, then Brazilian diamonds, then amethyst, and then the artist René Lalique was the very last one. So having said that, I can announce that the next one, and according to this voting and the other votings, and those are the ones that I put online a couple of days ago, it's going to be emerald. So on the next Tuesday, and you will have the links while Vincent is doing his presentation, I will go to my social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and I will put the links for the next webinar so you can register, because on the chat log, you are not able to click on any links for security reasons. So having said that, I'm going to unshare my screen, and I'm going to invite Vincent to the stage. And Vincent, I'm going to turn on your video and your audio, so you will be ready to go whenever you wish, Vincent. Hello, Bangkok. Your microphone is on.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Nice hat. I mean, that's your branded hat that you always take when you go on a trip. So thank you very much for bringing that. And I'm sure because you are a celebrity, and you might put it for auction sometimes, and I'm sure it will people will pay a huge amount to get it.
Well, usually I put it in the field, but you asked me to put it today because you know that without my hat, maybe people will not recognize me. So okay,
you can take it.
I can adapt.
It was more a joke than anything else.
I'm very pleased that you invited me to give that talk. And if to make you happy, I have to put my hat, I can put my hat. No problem with that.
Okay. Vincent, the floor is yours. I'm going to kill my video. So everyone, welcome. Give a big round of applause. To Vincent, and I will kill my video and listen to this wonderful gentleman, really knowledgeable. He will take you on a expedition, an adventurous trip all around the world on his profession, that is being a field gemologist. Enjoy. Vincent, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rui. And I'm very happy, as I say, to be your guest today. And I also thank, CIBJO for, the support for this talk. So the talk today will be about field gemology in collaboration with Rui Galopim de Carvalho, my old friend, and CIBJO. So I'm very happy to see that there are a lot of people here. There are some people that I know and many people that I've never met yet. But it's a pleasure to be with you today and to try to make you pass a good moment in this very difficult situation. Many people are suffering. In my family, I have my uncle, who is my godfather, who had a very tough time because he catch the coronavirus. He was back from Africa. He was traveling in Africa. He went to the airport in Paris, and then he obviously caught the disease in Paris at the airport. But after 2 tough weeks in hospital and lost about 10 kilos, he's now back at home. He's still weak, but it's a very nasty stuff. So please just be safe and don't get it, and make sure that also other people don't get it. This is what I have to say. So today's topic of the talk will be field gemology. And I will try to explain what is field gemology, what is a field expedition, try to give you some useful advice in order to get ready, telling you something about what you can expect when you can go to the mine, as Rui say, you have to expect the unexpected, and then what can you do when you're back from the field. Okay, so what is field gemology? Well, if you want to know what is field gemology, I will advise you there is a lot of good resource recently that were put on the GA website. You have this gentleman with Beatrice, who was my assistant for the past 2 years at GIA, who made a nice video about field gemology. And also he wrote a nice article about field gemology. So the content is great, but because of course, Wim has several very good talent. Number one, he's a hardworking guy. Number two, he listens very well, and he knows how to speak. Basically, he's very good at repeating everything that I told him. Now, when you go to, at the end of the article, for example, read the acknowledgement, and you read what is inside the article, and you need at the end, he said that GA field gemology efforts were initiated by Andy Lucas and Vincent Pardieu, who visited many gemstones, blah, 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 blah. This is, sorry, this is wrong. GA field gemology department and effort were not initiated by Andy Lucas. Andy Lucas is a nice guy. He was a guest in some of my expeditions. But the GA field gemology effort were initiated by this gentleman, Ken Scarratt. And Ken Scarratt hired me in 2008 in Bangkok in order to start the field gemology department, not Andy Lucas. It's Ken Scarratt. So this is wrong, and this is misleading. And then in his article and in his talk, he explained everything without, of course, giving credit. Because if Wim is good to repeat what he learned, he's not very good at giving credit. Now, I can tell you something. Field gemology is not about taking credit for the work that other people did. It's about going to the unknown and do some useful research and share it. Wim is a good guy, but there is one thing he has to learn, giving credit. I hope that now he will learn. I told him for several years, he don't listen, so maybe today he will start to listen. So that was my bad mood for today. I will not whip any other people. So from 2002 to 2004, I traveled to Myanmar to buy a gemstone with my boss from there, that was Henry Ho, and we created a website, gemware.com. That was gem trading, that was not field gemology. But in 2004, because I was teaching at CIBJO and I had a lot of problems during my class to teach about the difference between heated and unheated to the student. So I decided to go to the field in Bailin, collect some samples on site at the mine, heating them, and then taking photos before and after. And this is the way we started field gemology at CIBJO, starting going to Bailin in order to collect some samples and make some heat treatment experiment. Then at this time, I was working at CIBJO, and I was a webmaster of CIBJO, and I was building the website. But some people at CIBJO were thinking that with my input, CIBJO's website was becoming too much like an Indiana Jones outfit. So as we started the field gemology project with Henry allowed me to have my own website, a website that I call fieldgemology.com, and on which I was sharing things about going to the field. So like that, CIBJO's website was not too much, contaminated by my field content or my enthusiasm to go to the field. When I left CIBJO in 2007, I was stolen my website because my domain name fell in the public. Somebody took it and wanted $20,000 to get it back. So I didn't agree to pay this $20,000, and I created a new website called fieldgemology.org. And then I continued to share my field trip and experience in the field, photograph, report. At this time I was at Googling, and field gemology was still my hobby. I was working at Googling as a staff in the lab, and I was going to the field during my holiday most of the time at my expense. Then, my hobby after 3 or 4 years of sharing this kind of thing got the attention of people, especially at GA. And one day, Ken Scarratt, who was a director of GA in Thailand, asked me to turn my hobby into my profession and to come to GA and to create a field gemology department for GA. And I went there. So I changed again my website, I readapted, I changed the format, and I made the website more like suitable for GA, but it was not a GA website, it was still some independency. Then in 2012, GA basically asked me that I should contribute more to the GA website, and they were changing the GA website. So, and at the same time, I started to get interested into video. So, you don't have the time to do everything. So I put my website into a kind of a silent mode, and I went to focus on doing video and putting some content on GA website. So I opened a YouTube account and I started doing that. Now, the good news is that field gemology is coming back, because now with this confinement, the main thing I'm doing is I'm working on my website in order to update everything, and this website should be back hopefully within a few weeks. So soon you will be able to visit that. So Since 2004, what I'm doing is I'm traveling around the world to visit gem mining area in order to collect reference specimens in the field for gem lab. And this is what I call field gemology. This is about research, not about trading. So I have led 148 expeditions to 21 different countries for 4 different labs, AIGS, Gubelin, GIA, and recently Danat in Bahrain. So these gem labs are doing research on origin determination and also about how to detect treatment. And in order to be able to do that, they need reference samples. So what I'm doing is collecting reference samples that I'm bringing back in the lab. So this sample can get cataloged and then fabricated in order to be able to collect some data. And then you have the researcher and the staff gemologists working in the lab who are collecting data on this sample. Then they put that in a database and they share the data with the people who are working on production in order for these people to have less problem when they get a customer stone. So the important thing is to make sure that the sample is well documented. So like that, the researcher, they will be able to know exactly what is this sample, in which condition it was collected. You know, this is the most important step. And evaluate the reliability of this sample. So thanks to that, when you have a reliable and well-documented reference collection, laboratories are more in a much better position to provide a reliable report about origin, about treatment, about everything. So this is basically the base on research. Field gemology is one piece of the chain, but as you have seen, you have many other parts of the chain, and the chain is as strong as the weakest element in the chain. So my job was to make sure that at least this lab were able to get reliable samples. So what is a field expedition? Okay, now we are going I will try to make the thing a bit more fun. So gemology, field expedition, basically knowledge and preparation are the key. You have to know what you look at. Sometimes when you go to the field, things are tricky. What is this stone? Well, this stone is a late glass field ruby that I saw just near the mine. And one of my mentors, Richard, used to say, the closer you go to the mine, the more likely you will find synthetic and imitation. And he's right. Very often, the people with synthetic and imitation look very innocent. So a field expedition is not really tourism. Actually, it's more like a military expedition. I did a military academy, so I have some understanding of that. The key point is that you need to get yourself seriously ready. How to do that? Well, my advice, study gemology is a good start. So at least you will be able to know what you will buy, and if you are a gem trader, you will be able also to know what you sell. So this is what I did. I went to study gemology, first in Myanmar, because this is ruby land, and if you're a French guy, you want to learn about wine, I think that Bordeaux or Burgundy is great. But if you want to study about gem, my idea was I have to go to the place where you have the gem. So for me, it was natural to come to study gemology in Myanmar and also later in Thailand. The problem with my diploma in Myanmar is that nobody knew about it, so they were thinking that I was a crook. So then I say, okay, I should have a diploma with a good public recognition. And I asked, which diploma has the best public recognition? And people told me GIA. So I went to GIA in Thailand, and I studied in-campus program, and I had a great time because I was able to see also the trade in Thailand. So it was a great experience. Preparing an expedition. Well, it starts with some serious homework. That's the bad news for people who think that this is easy. First thing you need maps. So in order to get maps, my advice is get all the publication you can. My advice, build yourself a good reference library and not just keep the book in the shelf. Please read them. If you don't have yet a good reference library, luckily for the past 20 years, you have great internet resources. You can go to GA website and you will have the full collection on gem and gemology that you can download, and you can read. It's a mountain of knowledge. Now, there are other resources. You have also Gemme. Gemme puts their incredible journal of Gemmology, also online. So you can go to read for free, download and read for free all this issue of Journal of Gemmology. Then you have also InColor, which is the ICA, International Color Stone Association. they have also a magazine, and this magazine is an incredible source also of information. It's more trade-oriented, but you have also great articles about gemology. So I advise also to go to see this magazine and to collect them and to read them. Then you have other ones that are sadly not available online, but that I enjoy a lot. I enjoy a lot, the Australian Gemologist. That is a really great magazine. And also the Revue de Gemology FG, for those who speak French. It's in French. This is a great one. Then you have also the German, but I don't speak German, so I don't have the magazine from Ida Oberstein. But I heard that it's also quite good. So then you have now informative website like Field Gemology, but it's not online, but you have other one like a Palagem, like a Ruby and Sapphire from Richelieu. Many informative websites are just waiting for you to go to get some data. Then you can go also to watch documentaries on YouTube, where I have this channel with more about, now you have 31 videos of the recent expedition I did for the past 3 years that are online on this channel. And then when you have gathered all this information, my advice is go to see the real thing. But first, there is this wonderful tool that is called Google Earth that you can go to use, it's free, and you can go to get satellite map of the area. So you can, you have the map in the article, you go online, and you can see with sometimes some incredible detail what is going on in the mining area. So this is all the time a great advantage to be able to go in a mining area and to know that on the other side of the hill, there is a mine. Then when you reach the country, my other advice is, why don't you go to the Geological Survey? At the Geological Survey, you might find geological maps that can be very useful for your work, and also some publications that were not available on the internet. So this is a good place also to go. Then you will need help, because you have all the theory, you have all the articles that were ever published, all the books published on the subject, but now you need to go to the place. So how to do that? Well, you need to have a good team. I don't advise to travel alone to gem mining area, and you will understand why. So you need a good team because you need some local contact, a local support, like a gem trader who knows what are the regulations, where are the mines. He's he knows about the latest materials that came in the trade and things like that. And more importantly, he knows how to get the right permission for you to visit the mine. There are many countries where, as a tourist or as a foreigner, you are not allowed to go to visit the mine. So you need to have somebody organizing you some permissions. And you better do that if you don't want to end up in jail. So your local contact will help you to go to the mine, but also you will need probably a local gem merchant to help you to export the stone, because again, most of the time, a tourist, a visitor is not allowed to export a rough stone and things like that. So you need the help of a local gem merchant. Basically, you need a local contact. This is what gem merchants are doing, and this is what you do as a field gemologist. You need to have a local contact. Then the local contact is most of the time a businessman. He is, he's in an office somewhere in a trade center, and he can help you. But most of the time, he will not have really time to go with you in the field. So then you need to have a local guide, somebody who is knowledgeable because you don't want to get lost, somebody who knows the place, somebody also who will take you to the right spot, somebody who knows the miner, and he will be able to introduce you to the miner to make sure that, this guy will accept to have some visitors. Most of the mines are privately owned. So, if your local contact knows the miner, it will really simplify, your visit to this mine. Now, also, somebody who knows the stone and who will help you, to find the stones that you need. Then you need to have the right assistant. In my opinion, this is very important. I used to work as a team. I work as a team, with people all my life, and I don't like to do things just alone. So tough, strong guy are, of course, very useful. Straight shooters are also great, but the best thing is somebody with the right attitude. Some people to share hard time with you, some people who might, give you a hand in difficult times. Also, some people who might push you a bit. Sometimes you need to be pushed. But also, people who will take you out of trouble. Like, one day I broke an arm in Vietnam, and it was in a remote place, and I had to walk, you know, for 3 hours in order to come back to my hotel with a broken arm. And well, just to go out from the mining pit in which I felt, I could not have done that myself. But you need also people to share good times. That's important. This is Richard Hughes. On that day, he was reaching 50 years old, and we were in the field in Maryland, and you had these two great guys that he was super happy to have in order to celebrate his birthday. But mainly, what you need is some people who help you to collect data. When I go to the field, you know, I don't take selfie of myself buying a stone or doing this or doing that. It's much better to have a good photographer traveling with you so they can document the expedition and document what you are doing. Then sometimes also, if you don't think that photography is just great, but you are more like a video guy, you might think that it's a good idea, you know, to travel with a cameraman. So then you can have videos that, you know, you will be able to share on your YouTube, or just, you know, for your memories in the future. Good cameraman is all the time useful. Somebody to watch your back. This is good. You never know what happened. Regarding security, you might need some kind of bodyguard, yeah. But actually for security, the most important thing is to have a good driver. One of the most main danger when you travel and you go to a remote area is to have a car accident. So get a good driver. Don't save money on the driver. Then this is the perfect team. You have the right travel buddy, you have the right local guide, you have the right driver. When you go to the fields, the driver stay at the car, you have your bags there, so that's good. You have a good driver who keeps the house, and then you can go with the guide on your travel buddy to collect data. So, but you're not done yet. Now, what you need is some serious planning, because it's not really a great idea to travel to, for example, in Africa during the rainy season. You might get stuck in the mud for weeks. Or also to travel to a place where it's so dry that nobody is working. In many places, miners need to wash the gravel. If there is no water, there is no mining. Or, you know, you have to be careful also when you go to some place, you know, there are a few days where the people are not working because, oh, this is a full moon, or this is Sunday, or this is Ramadan. So you have to plan your visit at the mine at a time when people are working. Now, what can a lab rat like me or some other people can expect to do when they go to the field? Well, a lab rat might crawl into rat holes, for sure, sleep in dirty places, you have to expect that, and most of the time feed on what is available. And sometimes you don't have much choice. So it might get tough in the field, for example, if you are a vegetarian, because in many places, like you go to meet Maasai people, they eat blood and meat. They don't eat vegetable. And people in the mountain, like Pakistan, Afghanistan, also, they don't eat too much vegetable. They eat a lot of meat. Now, well, with good friends, maybe some people will share and will find a way for you to have some food and to be able to survive. But basically, adaptation to the place and the people is, in my opinion, the key in order to have a successful expedition. So then you have to prepare your bag. So, in my opinion, the lighter the bag, the better. Because the way to the mine can be very tricky. And sometimes it's better to have no bag at all if you want to be safe, because, you know, when you are in a funny place like that, you have a bag and then you lose your balance, you fall down and you die. So you need also to have some field instruments. So when I started Gemmology, I bought this book, Gem Identification Made Easy by Antoinette Matley, that was published in 1989. I bought it in 2000. And I started to read the book. And it's a great book because it teaches you how to use a portable instrument, pocket instrument, and how to get the best of it. And then there was this article in Gem on Gemmology that I read in 2002 by Edward Byrne that was about portable instrument and tips on practical gemmology in the field. So when I started field gemmology, you know, in 2003, 2004, when I had to lead myself my own expedition, because before I was the assistant of some other people, you know, these two articles were really important for me to select the right instrument to go to the field and to learn how to use them. So field trip instrument, in my opinion, any instrument is useful if you have it and if you know how to use it properly. My favorite, Tenix loop, Darcy loop, dichroscope, and a powerful torchlight. So this is a slide from a talk I gave at CIBJO in 2005, just after returning from my first 3 months long expedition in Africa, in Asia. So gem merchants, most of the time, are using a powerful torchlight because they check rough, so they want to see inside the fracture, the inclusion. So for that, you need to have a powerful torch. Now, as a gemologist, where you are trained to work with a microscope, I think the best instrument to go to the field and to keep your practice ongoing is a dark field loop, which is basically a 10x loop with a dark field illumination. And basically with that, it's the same as if you have a 10x microscope when you go to the field. So every time you are looking at a faceted stone or a stone that was broken so you can study the inside, the dark field loop is just great. Then a GPS is important because maybe you want to remember what was the spot exactly where this mine is located. So getting a GPS is super important. Then some pen, paper to take notes, and a good camera. But most of the time, again, it's difficult to take notes and take selfie at the same time. It's better to have, somebody taking photograph. So then after that, you might remember who was the guy who sold you the stone and things like that, because your expedition was documented. So these are the instruments I use most of the time. Dark field loop, torchlight, GPS, cell phone is easy to contact people, my camera, my notes, some plastic bags, some tweezers. This is what I have in the field. And of course, my 10x loop, my normal 10x loop. Now, geological hammer, well, I'm not a geologist. I study analytical chemistry. So I prefer to travel with geologists, and sometimes I have a hammer in case they forget, but usually geologists don't forget the hammer. But in order to get myself an education, I found it very interesting to travel with geologists because I bring to the field somebody who has some knowledge that I don't have, and slowly, over the past 20 years, I have learned a lot. So I don't have a degree in geology, but I have a quite good understanding about the geology of ruby and sapphire deposit because I was lucky to travel a lot with many geologists. So going to the mine, expect the unexpected. Yeah, that's correct. All miners are not angels or saints. You have to expect to meet some bad guys. And sometimes it's not really easy to find out who is the good guy and who is the bad guy. You have to be very careful with troublemakers because most of the time when you go to the field, the most dangerous people that you will have are the people in your team. I had a lot of experience with that. I can speak about that for hours. Traveling to mining area is not all the time easy. It's not all the time a piece of cake on a beautiful road and things like that. Sometimes some roads are very dangerous, especially, for example, in this mountain in Pakistan, when you end up on this road and there is a big stone and everything is very slippery. Sometimes the roads are too dangerous for car. Again, in Pakistan, in Kashmir, as at Kashmir, you had some landslide and we had to stop the car and then to continue on walking, hoping not to get crushed by a rock. And sometimes there are no roads, so you have to walk in the mountain and find a way not to fall down. Most of the time, you have to adapt and use local transportation, maybe horse riding or just walking in a jungle-covered mountain. Mud is a regular pleasure. You have to enjoy mud if you want to go to the field. Because anyway, you don't worry. At the end, you will go to the mine and probably the miner will have a great way to provide you a free shower. So a little bit of mud should not make you too much afraid. Then the issue is you can find leeches or wild dangerous animal like this elephant we met on the way to a ruby mine in Tsavo in Kenya. But most of the time, the dangerous animals are the smaller one, like the scorpion. When you go around in the field and you are moving rocks, sometimes you have a scorpion, under the rock, and you can get an issue with that. But the most dangerous animal are actually the virus, the one that you will have in your food and get food poisoning and things like that. So don't worry about lion, about elephant. Most of the time, you will not have problem with them. There are many other things that are more dangerous, and especially number one danger, people. So there are also the mines that you don't want to find, like this is at the border between Thailand and Cambodia. You had the war with the Khmer Rouge, and you have many minefields. So you want to go to see the mine, but maybe not this one. So you have to be careful. When you reach the mine, not all the time you will find a friendly crowd. Sometimes you will find some people who are just here, they will come to see you and they want to get you in trouble. So there are bandits, there are things like that. So sometimes you might need to have an armed escort in some place. Now, you have to be very careful about who is carrying a gun. My advice, if you go with an armed escort, like a policeman or soldier, try to make sure that this guy don't drink. Because drinks and drunks and gun together are not a good mix-up when you are in the middle of nowhere. Most of the time, my experience going to mine is that miners are very welcoming. They welcome you for food, they show you their life and their mine. So this is nice. When you reach the mine, yeah, it's nice to pose for a nice photograph, you know, for your social media or for your memories. But, you know, this is actually where the work is starting. There is work to be done. And what does it mean? Well, sometimes it's easy to witness mining and to get samples. Sometimes you just have to go on the floor and to pick up the samples. They are there available and you can pick them up. But sometimes, you know, you have to go underground and it might get a little bit scary. All the mines are not easy to study, like you have light on friendly miners and things like that. Sometimes when you go underground, you will find a mine like this is a Tanzanite one. It was high-tech, but sometimes it's kind of low-tech to go down. And sometimes it's a very old tech. And sometimes you wonder if there is any tech at all about in this mine. This is a Bopadan mine in Mogok in 2003. So you have to be very careful. As I say in Follow the Zebra, which is the first documentary that I participate in, it was published in 2012. And if you don't have seen this movie, and you know, at this time, if you have some time, go to my YouTube and go to Follow the Zebra and watch it. I don't understand how it's possible that only 3,000 people have seen that video, while some other video are going to 100 or 200,000. Follow the Zebra is probably one of the best video I have seen and participated about, for example, the gem trade and how it is going on in East Africa. But that day we went down in Merilani and you know, there was this vertical shaft. It was very dark, very dusty because you had all this graphite dust. And you know, I was on the top of the pit. I was the last guy to enter the mine. And then under me, you had about 10 guys. And I remember all the time what people in the no-tech at all mine in Burma told me, Vincent, be very careful, you are the last one. If you slip and fall, you kill everybody under you. So be careful. You know, when you are in a mine, it's not like a kindergarten, be safe. So yeah, you have to be a little bit adventurous if you want to go to the field and if you want to go to see the place where actually the stone are coming from. Or you can, if you are not that adventurous, you just stay outside of the pit and you take photo of people who go down and when they go up. Deep underground, it's not all the time easy. Sometimes you have light, but most of the time, you know, it can be a little bit funny because the tunnel might be very narrow, but people might find that this is fun to go there. Light can be very weak. Just people sometimes mine with just a candlelight. Also, it can be very wet. You have infiltration of water and the mine can be partially flooded. Sometimes it might get very dusty and you will have to get a scarf in order not to brace too many graphite. But this is the place where you might understand geology. And you understand also how the miner found gem. You will be at the front of the mine, and miners, if you can communicate with them, will be able to explain you which are the indicators they are following and how, and you will be able to witness actually the mining. So at the end, you will get the sample you wanted to study and enough maybe sample to do some great research work when you will be back at the lab. So what is the secret in order to summarize? Remember, well, you need to get the hunting spirit and get ready for the mission. You have to get yourself ready. So you need to have a right team. You need to prepare your expedition correctly. In the field, you have to respect the local people, respect their way to do. If they wait, you know, like in Songya, the elders of the village wanted us to meet them and to explain to everybody what we wanted to do and things like that. We had this powwow for about 2 hours. So that's the way, and this is the way to get accepted and to be able to visit the mine after. Okay, so let's spend 2 hours doing that powwow. So then you will get the support of the people. They will take you to the mine and you will be able to see what is going on. Don't be arrogant, be close to them, adapt to them, you know, share knowledge with them. and basically exchange with them. Then they will help you. And you will be able to get what you are looking for, the sample that you need for your colleagues working in the lab. Then, give them credit on exposure. This is something that, we don't get sometimes, but Richard told me all the time. Richard is all the time thanking even the driver, everybody, all the people he met, he's thanking them for, the support because he knows how difficult it is. Then on your social media, you can also thank people. This is a great way, social media, you connect with people in the field, then you share some photograph on your social media. And within few days after the expedition, they are happy because they help you and you give them credit right away. Even if the article you will write will take 3 years, if you share a small post, a small video, the guy sees that on his Facebook, on his Instagram, he will be happy. So give credit. And also on your paper, your online publication or your printed publication. I learned that again from Richard. Richard, give credit to everybody. And also Gaston Giuliani, probably the best geologist regarding gemstone deposit. I work with him several times. Sometimes my contribution to his work was just I provided him one sample, but then all the time he gave me credit and even put me as a co-author. He don't put me in the thanks, he put me as a co-author. So this is great, and this is what my mentor told me. So at the end, if you do that, maybe the miners will be happy to see you again and help, and welcome you on your way back. So what to do now after visiting the mine? Well, my advice, you should write a good expedition report and publish it in a magazine somewhere, or maybe on your website, whatever. And also, you should document correctly your sample, because if you wait too long, then you will forget everything about the sample, and you will end up with some shoebox with samples that you have no idea when they were collected and what they were and things like that. So with the sample well documented on a field report, even 10 years later, this sample will be useful. So I would like to thank all my mentors, all the people who supported me and helped me doing some good work in the field. Ted Temelis, who took me during my first 2 expeditions in 2000, Henry Ho, who allowed me to start field gemology, for AIGS when in 2005, 2006. Gaston Giuliani all the time, provided me right support with contacts and things like that. Same Jean-Claude Michelou. Every time I was needing a contact, Jean-Claude was super helpful with his advice to help me. Richard also, explaining me how to do and giving me a lot of great advice. And finally, Ken Scarratt, who I worked for the past 12 years, who had this great idea, to initiate and to start, this field gemology department at GIA, and then at Danat, and now, he's working at the ICA lab in Bangkok. And, Ken was all the time of great support. I want also to give a small thanks to all the people, who travel with me in the field, because they have to deal sometimes with my bad mood. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I have feelings, and sometimes I have bad mood. Okay, thank you for your attention. Last thing, I know that I overspoke already. If you want to learn more about that, I will give another webinar in 2 days on Sunday with my friend Justin Prim, and we'll speak a little bit about the basic rule of field gemology. So that will be a nice second step after this webinar. So thanks everybody, and I will give back the microphone to Rui, and if you have any question, I will stay here and I will be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I think nobody would ever say that sometimes you have a temper and you have feelings. So I think it was a surprise to everybody.
Many people will say that. The people who travel with me, they know that don't give me headache.
I know.
My coffee. No, I have temper.
No problem. One thing I would love to, first of all, thank you very much for preparing the presentation and for being with us this morning, and for being with us in a couple of hours for the Americas time zone. So thank you very much for your generous time. What I would love to ask you, Vincent, is when you go to the fields, and what is your usually people say that a tourist, for instance, a tourist goes to the field to a gem producing mine, okay, for Sri Lanka or somewhere in Africa. And they have in their mind that, okay, because this is a gem producing country, I might find some local gems. And maybe the closer I am to the source, even to the mine, maybe the better is the chance to find the real thing. How does it relate with the real thing, Vincent?
Well, that's a very good question. You see, when you think like that, you go to a mine, and because you are at the mine or you arrive at the mine, basically you want to buy. Because you arrive at the mine, you want to buy. And the problem is, people know that. When you are, not from the area, you go to a mine and you are excited, and people see that you're excited. They know you want to buy. Especially the crook know that you want to buy. So, when you go to mining area, usually the first 2 or 3 people that you will meet are predators. Predators work either as a sniper. They are near the mine and they look, oh, there are some tourists coming. Good. They will want to buy, and I have this nice stone I want to make a huge profit with. And they will propose you to take you to the mine to visit and blah, 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 blah. And at the end, they will try to sell you their stone. Every time when you go to a market, you look like a foreigner, you're not somebody from there. Basically, you look like a target for the crooks of the area. So the most important thing when you go to a gem mining area is to have the right local contact, somebody who is known in the area, and he will protect you from all these crooks because this guy knows the crooks. So that's why it's important not to go alone. If you go alone, you are game meat. If you go with somebody knowledgeable and somebody trustable and somebody who knows the place, the crew look around and say, oh, no, these guys are coming with, I'm not going to mess up. So sadly, there are many people who get cheated because basically one of my old Burmese teachers was telling me something about that. Because he saw my way when I was going in the market in Yangon in 2000. I wanted to buy stones. I wanted to look at stone. He said, Vincent, you have to be careful because in the gem trade, there are 2 devils that are ruling the gem trade. And there are 2 angels who are looking after you. The 2 devils are greed and ignorance. You are here, you want to go to a mine, you want to get maybe a stone for cheap. You think that you go to the mine, your greed tells you, you are at the mine, it will be cheaper than in the store, the retail store in America where next door. So I will go there, I will get a good stone at cheaper price. Your greed is leading you. And then the problem is, you are not a gemologist, you are not an expert, so you are ignorant. But you think you are not. You think that, oh, I was able to go there, I see a stone. You're greedy and you're ignorant. That's the 2 devils.
One other question, by the way, I'm going to launch the poll, which is like the Q&A that usually we do in at the end of each session, so everybody can start filling this up while I ask you another question. So imagine that I would love to go with you on an expedition, right? So because I see on your YouTube channel and in your social media that you have like in each not every time, but sometimes when you travel, you have your videographer, you have your assistant, and then you have a series of people that follow you, right? And what is the profile of those people? Can just anybody that I would love to go on an expedition, can they go with you, or is there a requirement? Is there an academic or institutional or university link that you would require for somebody to join you? Because I believe that a lot of people, they would love to go with you on an expedition, and they would cope with your temperament, I'm sure. But what is how can people join you on such a thing?
Well, I have a basic rule. Number 1, I don't travel with the people that I don't know. I don't travel with people that I never met. And I will advise everybody to do the same. Don't go to the field for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, for example, in Africa or even in Asia, with somebody you don't know. If you go with the wrong person, even if you go to Paris or to New York with the wrong person, you might get in serious trouble.
Yeah, Paris is very dangerous, as you know, for tourists.
Yeah. So Number one, you go with some people you know. When I go to the field, I like to travel with people that will, basically, they will help me. If I see that when I meet you for lunch, for dinner, for coffee, if I see that basically you can be useful in the expedition, you will adapt and you will be able to socialize with my team, you will not create trouble in my team. Basically, if I have a seat available, why not? And in some place, it's safer to travel, with maybe 6 or 7 people. When I go, for example, to Africa, to Madagascar, and to Tanzania, things like that, usually it's safer to travel with 2 cars, because if one car gets a problem in the middle of nowhere, how you do? So if you travel with 2 cars, then if a car was a problem, everybody go in the second car. The second car is going to search some help. But in Tanzania, if you want to hire, a good car for traveling, it's about $400 per day, without the driver, without the gas. So how to do with that? You rent 2 cars for yourself, it's $800 per day. So if people want to come to the field with me, for example, in Africa, it's okay. But you share the expense. And I want to be sure first that you will adapt to the team and that you will help. You will help taking photographs. You will help because you are a geologist. You will help because you're a good writer. You will help because you speak a language that I cannot speak. Or you will just help because you bring a good mood. And everybody is happy in the morning because you are here, and everybody, a friendly person is very helpful, especially when sometimes, everybody is tired, everybody is dirty, everybody is there, but there is somebody who puts some light in the group, and this is certainly the most important person of the group.
Interesting. And one last question. Sorry.
Yeah.
And does somebody needs to be physically fit? Because I see you going down tunnels, going on shafts, climbing, and you must be physically kind of fit. Or do you exercise, or does people need to exercise and to be prepared physically? Of course, mentally is important, but physically, do they need to be physically prepared as well?
Well, there are many gem producing areas. If you are not able to walk for 1 day in mountain, my advice, don't go. It's all about training and preparation. You can spend 6 months becoming a gemologist. Okay, spend 6 months, be able to walk 1 day in the mountain. In many places, there are some places that are easy because there is a road to go to the mine. Like, for example, in Mogok, in a place like Chantaburi, in places that are all mining sites in Sri Lanka, it's very easy because it's countries where you have mining areas for a long time, there are roads, there is infrastructure. But when you go to new place like Vietnam, like Africa, in many places, sometimes you have to walk 1 or 2 days. You have to sleep, in a tent. And you have to really share the life of the miners. So in that case, you want to go to the gem mine in Afghanistan, you have to be able to walk exactly the same way as the Afghani miners. If you cannot follow, their pace, you become a burden for them. So, yes, you have to get fit. That's better.
Interesting. Thank you. Vincent, I'm going to end the poll, and now I will share the results, and you can go one by one on the questions that are being made to our attendees. So you can explain each and every one of them as you please.
Okay.
And if you wish to unshare your screen so people can watch you better, I think it would be nice. But it's up to you.
Unshare my screen is stop share. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now everybody can see you. Okay. So the poll, is it better to go to the field alone? In my opinion, no. Very simple. I broke an arm in the field. It's not good to be alone. It was far away. If I broke a leg, how you come back? If you're alone, how you come back? I had malaria twice in the field. When you are sick, and you cannot move from your bed, how are you doing to do if you're alone and there is nobody you can trust? If you get any kind of problem, it's much better to have somebody, who can help you out. And also, think about it. In 20 years or 30 years, it's also very, I like to have people that I can meet again and share good memories. So you go to the field, you make memories. If you can share that with somebody, that's better. So my advice, don't go to the field alone. Go with somebody you like and you trust and somebody you can enjoy time with. Before going to the field, it is important to read articles and books about the place you want to visit. Yeah, this is the essence of research. Research starts where knowledge finishes. So if you want to do research, it's very easy. Read everything on the subject, become an expert on that subject, and then if you can add one small stone to this subject, that's research. Research is about getting to the border of knowledge and do something. If you go to some place and you have not prepared anything, and you go to write an article that was written already 4 years ago, this is not research. And people will notice that. So my advice, first, read everything, see what is different from what you have read, and then write a good article that will add, basically you will be able to add your stone to the building of the knowledge about this place. So that was number 2. Everybody nearly was right on that. 3, the most important thing in a field expedition is to reach the mine.
That's a dividing voting. You see, almost 50.
Yeah. 57 people say true and 45% say false. And in my opinion, no. The most important thing is not to reach the mine. The most important thing is to come back alive.
Is to
return. Come back alive. So, then you can reach the mine, the next day or in 3 or 4 more days or next week or next month or next year. The most important thing is safety. Don't get somebody killed in your expedition because you just want to go to the mine. And no, please, no. The most important thing is safety. Your safety and the safety of the people traveling with you. Then you can go back. If you are safe, you can all the time go back.
And return home.
Huh?
And return home.
Yeah, you return home and then you can plan a new expedition. You have learned something. Okay, I failed. There are many places. I have what I call unfinished business. I want to go to the lapis lazuli mine in Afghanistan. I failed 4 times already. So, I still have some good project. I still have some place that I tried to go there. I failed. I was not able to succeed, but at least I'm still alive and I'm not dead. And, I'm now nearly 150 expedition. And maybe I will be able to reach, 200. But when you think about it, if you take 1% risk, if any expedition, you take 1% chance to have a problem, you accept 1% chance to have a problem. After 100 expedition, it's very likely that you are about 54, 55% to have a problem. So 1%, 1%, 1%, 1% at the end in 100 expedition, you might be sure have a problem because statistics will go against you. So 1% chance to have a problem is not acceptable. You play safe. Okay. In the field, the best tool is a brain full of knowledge and wisdom. Sure. You can have all the instruments, the money you want. If you don't know anything, if you don't know, for example, how to separate a ruby with glass, you might buy a piece of glass for $1 million. Then you can have all the instruments. If you're not able to use them, it's useless. It's better to have no instrument and knowledge and wisdom than to have instruments and nothing in your head. So the difference between field gemmology and gem trading is that field gemmology seeks knowledge, while gem merchants seeks financial benefits. Correct, because field gemmology, at least my understanding and my vision of field gemmology for the past 15 years, which is the essence of my website, fieldgemmology.org, it's about sharing. That's why I stopped being a gem merchant, because when I was a gem merchant, it was not in my interest to tell to my customer who are my suppliers. So basically, I could not really tell the stories. So I had to do a choice in my life at one point. What should I do? Should I go to the field to buy stone in order to sell them for profit? Or should I go to the field to buy stone, to study them, and to share stories? So I failed as a gem merchant. So I decided to go for research. And so far, I survive at doing research.
And very well. So
Yeah.
thank you, Vincent. I'm going to move on to the Q&A. So I will just choose. Well, you have 45 questions up until now. I will choose one. Then I will give you freedom so you can look at the log and reply to the. Usually I do it so I can choose the easy ones. But maybe you can choose anything you wish. But there is one here that actually interests me, which is an anonymous attendee asks, what would be the advice that you would give to a woman that wanted to start field gemology? As a woman, are there different challenges in different parts of the world out of being a woman?
Well, there is all the time an advantage to be a woman when you arrive in a mining area and you have a lot of men. What I see, when I take a woman in the field is that miners are very happy to give them presents. They don't give present to me, but they give present to them. Mm. So there are some advantages and there are some inconveniences. So you have basically simple. You have to, okay, I am a woman. What are my advantages? What is the positive side about that? What is the negative side about that? Okay, how can I benefit from this advantage and how can I minimize the risk of being a woman? So sometimes, if you are a woman, it's maybe a good idea to travel with some guys in your team. Me, I feel that I'm a guy. I think that it's good to travel with women in my team. Because if I just go in the field with guys who look like mercenaries, when I reach the miner look at me and they say they don't want to show me anything. They think that I'm a guy who will maybe come and take the mining area. But when I go to the field and I have 2 or 3 women with me, suddenly all the miners, they want to come to see me and they want to, who are these beautiful ladies, coming in the field and things like that. So they want to talk with me. Yeah. So there is an advantage to be a woman in the field because people who are miners are more likely to accept you to the mining area and more likely to start discussing with you. So as a guy, I like to travel with women. Because also when I travel with a group of guys, if you have 1 or 2 women in the group, the other guy will behave.
Interesting.
So my opinion is there is no reason why a woman cannot go to the field. I think many women, I have seen many women going to the field and they do usually very well.
And Antoinette Matlin, she's on the audience today, and she was really happy to listen that you were using her best-selling book on the field. And I think she popped in a question. Popped in a question about the tools, the little things, because she always carries a little bag with all those little filters and microscope and all those little gadgets that she used them all the time and she solves 95% of the identification challenges that she might have on a jewelry shop, for instance. And then you will have time to look at her question right now, because what I'm going to do now, Vincent, I'm going to share my screen to show your social media and my social media, while you will have time to look at the Q&A log, and then you can start a dialogue with anyone. And Vincent, if you want to give the microphone to any attendee, you just ask me, tell me the name, and I can put him or her on the stage.
You're the guy doing that. I'm not.
So I'm going to share my screen and show the our social media while you can look at the Q&A log and choose do like me, choose the easy questions.
Okay, I see. The first question that I see is quite interesting. Is what has changed the most during your expedition from the last years? Well, when I started field gemology, there was basically no internet. So there was no social media, there was nothing like that. So when I was reaching the mine, nobody had any way to, for example, access gemological knowledge. Mining areas were not super well connected with the rest of the world. Now, everybody in the field have a mobile phone. Everybody can reach internet. So many times when I reach a mining area, people know me already. I don't have to introduce myself. Oh, you are the guy from that. And then sometimes, people follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. They have seen my videos. So this is something that changed a lot. There are 2 things that really changed, and I think in the gem trade in the past 40 or 50 years since, I didn't start it. was not the first person to go to the field. You had Tavernier going to the field in the 16th century. You have Dr. Gubelin, you know, he was a gemologist and he was traveling even with a TV crew in a cameraman in the 1950s in Burma. But at his time, number one, plane was expensive and there was no internet. Now there is internet. Planes are much cheaper than 50 years ago. So it's much cheaper to go to the field compared to 50 years ago, where you had to be, you had to have a personal fortune. Now nearly everybody can afford to go to the field. So that has changed.
Before you go on, for those that wish to register for the next webinar, if you go to my LinkedIn page, it's already there for 35 minutes, not on Instagram, and also on my Facebook, which is my name, and on Instagram it's not. And let me show you Vincent's Instagram page, and he does a terrific job. I mean, he publishes every day during this confinement one thing which is called One Day, One Reference Stone, One Story. And I encourage you dearly to read those wonderful stories that have been collected during his 20 years experience in the expedition. So he does quite a lot. So as you can see, he has a lot of stories on many stones and places. And by the way, the Field Gemology YouTube channel that he was mentioning is this, and you can have here some few videos.